And at the end of the day, marketing is nothing more than an amplification tool of who you are.
That nothing can happen before you're in alignment. Alignment trumps the logarithm. Alignment trumps marketing. Alignment trumps all of that.
Just get momentum. Just get in there and get started.
And I say, it is my job. It's showtime, folks. Even if I'm having a bad day, it is showtime.
What is it that you want, that your heart calls you to do, and how can you make the greatest impact?
Thank you all, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for making this happen. And before we start, I'm going to take a few minutes to give you a story, a context on who we are, where we come from, and how we're making this happen. So on the 29th of October, that just went past, I turned 44. But the story that I want to tell all of you is when I was 18 years old. Taking you back in time, born and brought up in New Delhi, India, all I wanted to do in life was to race street cars. My dad used to go to bed, and from under his pillow, I used to take out his car keys, race with people, make some money on the side. And as an 18-year-old head, I said, I'm a business person, because business people apparently did what they loved doing, and they made money, and other people were happy. So I was a business person. Amongst all my 18-year-old friends, I was the only one who I thought had a plan to learn streetcar racing professionally. I wanted to go to the UK, learn how to race cars, and also wear an Oxford blue blazer. Those were the dreams that I had. But one day, everything changed when I got a call from my dad saying, I need to meet you in my office. My dad's office was the other side of town. I took a 1-hour tuk-tuk ride, and I went there. And I walked into his office, and whenever I share this story, it's almost like it was yesterday. There was a red carpet on a wooden floor, and my dad had these 2 landline phones. You remember those phones with wires coming out from the walls? They were off the hook. My dad's phones were never off the hook. I knew there was a serious conversation happening. He said, son, sit down. I'm going to tell you everything in 2 minutes. I wish he'd taken longer. But in 2 minutes, he told me that he lost a lot of money in his business. We've had going through a family separation, and he has to sell the house, sell the cars. He's going to try to keep me in the school that I'm going to. I went to a very good school, but no way can he send me overseas. And as the eldest son in the family, I need to start joining the family business from tomorrow morning. Else I could find my own route. In 2 minutes, he changed my world. I thought it was insensitive. It could have been done better. I didn't know how to process all that information. So I just screamed and I darted out of the room. My mom was waiting outside. And in true Hindi movie Bollywood style, me and my mom had this conversation for 4 hours. And I think now that I'm telling you people this story, when I look back, I think better sense prevailed, because the very next morning, I found myself behind the reception of my dad's small 27-room motel. Now, I learned housekeeping. I learned to take care of a restaurant, but I also learned that my dad is the star of the rest of the hotel, of the small 27-room motel. Where do I find my place under the sun? One day, an international tourist walked in, and he paid us in Dutch guilders, the currency of Holland before the euros came in. I converted the Dutch guilders. It turned out to be double Indian rupees. And I'm thinking to myself, What if I'm able to convert all 27 rooms into international tourists? I double the income, double the revenue, and I become a star in my dad's eyes. This made sense to me, and I finally had a path, a plan to do something for myself. Great. But in the late 90s, how does a small 27-room motel connect with people around the world? During that time, ladies and gentlemen, there was a new phenomenon on the market called the internet. This was a service that would connect people with others around the world. Again, there was a problem. In Delhi, there were only two places, the British School Library and the Sheraton Hotel. Both of them had the internet, but they were charging 400 rupees, approximately $9 for 30 minutes, which was prohibitively expensive. I managed to go there twice and I explored the internet and I realized that it's full of chat forums of and those chat forums are full of very friendly people who are ready to give advice. I needed more of that advice. I didn't know what to do. Waited another few months. I saw an ad in the paper. Satyam Computers looking for cyber cafe partners. Contact manager Rohit Sikand. After 25 years, Rohit is still a friend of mine because I was one of the first people to apply for that cyber cafe. After 3 months of unnecessary paperwork, I got a six-computer cyber cafe in my dad's restaurant. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I had 24-hour access to the slowest internet on the planet. It just wouldn't work. But whatever did work for a few hours a day, I got in touch with people and they said, I said, what should I do? Somebody said, create a website. Great idea, late in the 90s. I got in touch with some companies in Bangalore. They said, we do websites only for large corporations in the US. I got in touch with some of their developers who said, we'll work with you on the weekends and take about 6 months to develop a website. In 6 months, everything went on track. They developed the website, and I knew my fortunes are going to change, and I'll have people coming from all over the world. The website happened, the launch happened. In my business, the impact was zero. That was my first ever business lesson in life, that life is a series of successful events. It's never just one event. I went back to the drawing board, onto the chat forum, started asking people what to do. Somebody said, have toll free numbers for people from different parts of the world. They will trust a company in India if they have toll free numbers. Great. Somebody said, have translation services. Somebody said, put articles and blogs. For the next 6 months, I did everything that I learned on these forums. Slowly, we started getting traffic. Those traffic started getting into phone calls. Those phone calls started getting into emails. And I got my first customer on the 15th of December. A family of four came in. I picked them up from the airport. They were real human beings on the other side. Came in, checked them up into room 302, and I gave the money to the reception. And I knew that day that the internet works. After that, I quadrupled down on the efforts. Next 2 years, we had a lot of business coming in. We started booking nearby hotels because our hotels was getting full. And after 2 years of booking other hotels, we realized we have enough business on books. I clearly realized that we're first movers. My first book, which I'll show you in a minute, is called The Accidental First Mover. And we knew we had enough business coming in. So we bought another small boutique hotel next door. Another 2 years, we bought another small 25-room hotel next door. Another few years, another one, and then another one. So my dad took 40 years to build his first hotel, and I tell them this many times. He took 40 years to build his first hotel. After we discovered the internet, in the next 5 years, we had four more properties. So that was chapter one of my life. The internet completely changed my life. We were not the first 10, the first five. We were the first ever non-branded hotel in the country to go live on the internet. Nobody had done it. That was chapter one. Chapter two was when I got overconfident. I built 100 travel websites to take care of all these international tourists. 96 of them flopped. Four websites did very well. So that became my online travel business in 2005. Then came 2006, 2007, TripAdvisor, Facebook, Google, all these companies started coming to India. Some of these companies said they were looking at to promote small businesses and get them onto the internet. They saw my story and they said, would you like to speak on stage? As you can see in our 9 minutes of conversation, I love talking. So the first opportunity I got to speak, I said absolutely yes to all of them, and I started speaking on various stages around the world. And every time I would finish a conversation, people would say, "Can you do this for us?" And I was like, "No, I do this for my own business. How do I do this for you?" Finally, after 4 or 5 rounds, 2 3 years of doing this, I realized that there was a business model over here. So in 2009, with a team of four members, no funding, no co-founders, no debt, I started a company with a four-member team doing internet marketing. It was not called digital marketing then, for corporates and brands, mostly hotels, because that's what I understood. And in from 2009 to 15th August 2009 to now, the team grew from 4 to 225 people working with 700 clients in 10 countries. So that became my story till 2.5 years ago. 2.5 years ago, I got I got enrolled with the London Speaker Bureau and many other speaker bureaus to start speaking around the world. I became a speaker. And every time I went, I told people how to tell their stories and about their brands. This was the 9-minute story of mine, which I teach people how to tell in 9 seconds. How do you tell a 9-minute story in 9 seconds? Here goes. My name is Arya, father of 2 girls, 6 dogs, husband to a superwoman, a streetcar racer turned hotelier, now social media marketer and founder of Internet Moguls. People loved the story. They said it's a great connect, but somewhere there was a disconnect in my heart between the long story and the short story. The short story had my 2 girls, my superwoman wife, and my 6 dogs, but the long story is all about work, and I needed to bridge the gap. I was not feeling very happy doing all of this, missing on school events and missing on a lot of family events. So I came back to my office and I said, let's do everything with videos. So we started doing videos. We created Zoom rooms. We sent out an email to 700 clients. We'll give you a 5% off on your retainer. Everybody who you call for a small meeting, I need a change in my website, costs about 2 hours of a person's time. We had 200 plus people, 100 of them are project managers. If we save 2 to 3 hours a day, 15 hours a week, 60 a month, 720 a year for one person, imagine the amount of time we'll be able to save for the entire corporation. And all of them will be able to pour that time back with their families. And most importantly, I will not be able to come for as many meetings anymore. A lot of people saw this as arrogant and all of that in the beginning. But slowly people started coming around, and I was able to slowly spend more time with the family, but still not enough. I started doing a webinar every week. 400-500 people would come Monday night. So I started transitioning into videos and webinars. So that's how my journey started. My speaker bureau said, nothing can be without a concept. You need to give a system. So I called it the micro video mastery system, the 33 videos that allow you to grow your business and spend time with your family. So that became my mission, but it was still once a week. I still had to travel between where my family is in Vancouver and my business in India, back and forth 6-7 times a year. Then came Corona. It was a very trying time for our hospitality industry, for our agency. But because we were doing videos and webinars, we were able to, sort of scale past all of this after the first few months of hiccups. And now for the last 10 months, I've not been back to the office. Work is, back on track. Everything is great. I'm able to drop the kids to school, take the dogs for a walk, and spend the evenings with the wife. So that sort of is a journey of what I'm doing. And now every week we reach out to entrepreneurs like yourselves, who are making an impact on one life at a time. And over the years, we built a very large community in India with our email list, with our webinars and all of that. And many of these people in India and around Asia and here in Vancouver, Canada, seem lost. They have anxiety in the morning. They're scared. They don't know what to do. They need guidance. And therefore, we research the internet and reach out to amazing human beings like yourselves to say, give us some time so that we can shed clarity, light, and feeling of hope, and a zone of no fear for all of these people. So thank you for your patience for listening to my story and setting up the context for this. And now we're going to get right into today's show. So, like I always say to everybody, the shortest distance between two human hearts is always a story. You tell a perfect stranger a short story about who you are, and they remember you for life. So now what we'll do is we'll start one by one, and in about 30 seconds or so, if you can tell us your story, where you're coming from, who you are, and I'll give you a template. The template could be: my name is Arya, father of 2 girls, 6 dogs, husband to a superwoman, streetcar racer turned hotelier, now social media marketer and founder of Internet Moguls. In our community, we call this the hero introduction. And so if you want to use a similar template and share your story with us, the audience is here on Facebook. We'd love to hear from you. We'll start from how the frame is set up, and we'll start with Nick, if that's okay.
Thanks, Avi. Hello, everyone I can see and everyone I can't see on Facebook. My name is Nick Bettis. I'm speaking to you from near London in the UK. So for me, it's nearly beer time. And I'm a business coach, management consultant. My clients are business owners with 5 to 30 employees who are stuck. They can't let go, they can't delegate. So I help them solve that with processes, systems, measurement. And the result is they can grow their business again.
Lovely. Thank you, Nick. Kathy.
Hello, everyone. Wow, I can't beat Avi. I can't beat your 9-minute into 5 seconds, but here we go. I'll try. Kathy Caprino. I'm from Stamford, Connecticut. I am a career and leadership coach, writer, speaker, trainer, dedicated to the advancement of women in business. You know, in listening to your story, one thing I just want to share, I came from an 18-year corporate career that was successful on the outside and a mess on the inside. And I didn't know what to do about it. And after a brutal layoff, I became a therapist and then a coach for women. So my sweet spot is mid to high level professional women. And I would say that why I do this is if I can help one woman a day bypass the challenges I faced, it's a good day. So that's me.
Lovely. Love that. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Christy.
So hi, everyone. I'm Christy Whitman. I've been a coach for 20 years. I am the mom of two amazing boys that are 10 and 11, a wife to just the most amazing man on the planet. And I have had the pleasure of being in this industry, coming from just a traditional law of attraction coach to helping people in business to literally getting more into helping them become the energy master of themselves, of their business, because everything is energy. So I help them release blocks and energetic imprints that they've had in the past so that they can be free to create what they want. And so I have a new book coming out next month and I'm super excited. It'll be my 7th book.
Oh, wow. Lovely. We'll talk about that in a minute as well. Thank you. Brenda.
Yes, well, so I've lived outside of my native US for over 25 years. I'm currently based in Singapore, and I worked in the corporate world for a long time running massive billion-dollar businesses, and then I just had enough of it, said I want to start my own. So I've been doing that for the past 18 years, and I'm a very global coach. So I've coached almost 1,000 executives one-on-one from 60 different nationalities and 6 different continents. So I love the variety of that. I really know firsthand that it is lonely at the top. That's not just an adage. And I really wanted to help other executives to get through that experience, not to survive it, but to thrive in it. So that's really where I focus, is in the senior executive leadership levels of big corporations.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Brenda. Kat.
My turn. Hi, everyone. I'm Kat. So super long story short, from Canada, past life was corporate, business, Fortune 500s. Quickly realized that was not for me. I saw all the red tape, all the years of the upward climb. And I was like, for what? I was like, I can just cut out the middleman of the corporation and just do it myself, right? So long story short, moved down to Mexico. I've been living here, running my coaching business for the last 4 or 5 years. And so I was helping people with digital marketing behind the scenes. And then I realized they could have all the right things, right? But if their mind wasn't on board with all of the strategy, if the mind wasn't on board with the goal, like she was saying, right? All those blocks, the mental blocks, emotional blocks, energetic blocks. So what I do with my clients, I just help them make the tiny tweaks to create the massive victories. So my clients are just like coaches, facilitators who aren't creating the results to match what they know they're capable of creating. And so those are my people. And so here we are.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
And a dog mom.
We have to highlight that. Note for the editing team, we have to highlight that. All right. Kayla.
Hi, everyone. I'm Kayla Breesy. So long story short, let's see if I can follow Avi. I am a wife to an African. I'm a mom of 1 and a mom of 1 furry child, my little dog, Sophie. And I come from the corporate world as well. I was in the financial services industry and in retirement plan services for many years. And after having my son, who I was never supposed to be able to have, I didn't want to be at work. I wanted to be home with him. And so I transitioned, found my calling in coaching, started out with business coaching and thrived with that. After I lost my dad in 2017, I saw a huge shift in my life, which turned me into doing a lot of life coaching and really helping my clients to break free from what's holding them back. As I was going through the first year of grieving my father, I had 7 or 8 clients that had also lost a parent. And my eyes just kind of really open to a lot of the holistic healing methods and doing a lot of personal development. And I dove headfirst into that industry as well. And so I now blend the two on top of doing digital marketing for my clients. I'm also an author and a speaker and a multitude of other things, but I love what I do. And it's an amazing opportunity to be able to be here with all of you and to share my experience with you.
Thank you so much for sharing that story,
You bet.
Kayla. Anthony.
Yeah, so Anthony John Amix, I'm a small town farm boy turned into professional rock star, turned into one of the top life and business coaches in the world, and really help like online entrepreneurs be able to convert their stress into fuel for the purpose and really unlock freedom in their life and business.
Stress into fuel. I like that. Lovely. Thank you, Anthony.
You're welcome.
Kitty.
Good morning and good evening for those of you who are on different time zones. My name's Kitty Boitnott. Unlike the rest of you, I don't come from the business world. I was an educator for most of my life, 33 years, mostly as an elementary school librarian. From 2008 to 2012, I served as president of my state union, the Virginia Education Association. And that job completely burned me out. I was like a piece of toast at the end of my term in 2012. And I wound up, instead of going back to my school district, which had been my original plan, I took early retirement. I took some time off to rest up and start to feel like myself again. And in the winter of 2013, I hired a coach to help me figure out what was next for me professionally. I felt overeducated and underqualified to do a lot of things that I might have liked to do. I have a PhD in educational leadership and 2 master's degrees, and I wasn't sure what to do with any of that education. And I was 60 years old and not sure where to turn for my next job. At the end of the day, I decided to become a coach. I started out getting certifications as a life strategies and then a stress management coach. And I did a lot of stress management workshops for teachers. A lot of people aren't aware of it, but teachers are extremely stressed. And this pandemic has sort of been the straw that broke the camel's back for many of them. I have become a heart-centered career transition and job search coach for those teachers who are burnt out and ready to look for career alternatives, but don't know where to start or how to begin a job search. And that's what I've been doing since 2015. I've created a course and I have hundreds of clients from around the country who have worked with me in their effort to find new career paths for themselves. Just one more thing to show you what a small world it is. When Kathy Caprino started to speak, I realized that she and I had a short conversation a few years ago after we had both been named to the list of top 25 career coaches online by Career Toolkit.
Oh, Kitty, hello.
Hello, I reached out to you and we had a quick conversation and I learned about your business and immediately recognized your name and your face when you started to talk. So it is a small world and thank you for giving us an opportunity to connect.
Fantastic. I'm so happy to hear that. And I loved when you said over-educated, but felt underqualified.
Underqualified, yes.
Fantastic.
So when that happens, you create your own path. And that's what I did.
100%. Huge message for everybody listening. Sarah?
Hi, everyone. I'm originally from Ohio, currently residing in Arizona with my 2 fur babies, and I've been an entrepreneur and salesperson my entire life. In 2013, I had what would be referred to as a spiritual awakening and opened up to my intuitive gifts and channeling abilities and just sort of cultivated that. And that eventually morphed into spiritual transformation mentorship for other women that are on the awakened path. In 2018, during the shutdown, is when I decided to launch one of my business programs, which merges spirituality, spiritual transformation with entrepreneurship. So now I help spiritual entrepreneurs really step into their mission, who they're here to serve, connect with their mission, their gift, their message, who they're here to serve, and create programs that really scale them so that they can ditch the one-to-one and incorporate a more one-to-many model so they can make a bigger impact that they already know they're here to make, while also having more freedom and flexibility in their life. So that has just catapulted since 2020 last year. And yeah, that's where I specialize now in what I call sacred or conscious leadership, specifically for mission-driven soulpreneurs.
Lovely, lovely. Those were awesome introductions from all of you, your stories and some vulnerabilities shared over there. Thank you very much. Appreciate every single word that you said. Now we go again in the same alphabet, in the same order that we started in. The question that's come from the audience before we did a poll, before we took some questions, when we announced that you all are going to be here, was that most business coaches ask people when they start with them, say, everybody must have a positioning in the market. How do you all suggest that the audience that's watching here, what is the importance of a micro niche, if you think there is one important, if there is an importance of a micro niche, and a positioning statement that separates you from everybody in your field? So when you work, Nick, with your clients who from entrepreneurs who have teams from 5 to 30, and when all of you people work with different people from career coaches to teachers, do you, what is the importance of having a micro niche in their fields? What would be your take on that?
Well, I think marketing only works if you've got a niche. Otherwise, it doesn't resonate. I think the problem for many small businesses is to, if you're a plumber, what's my niche? So how do you turn what seems to be, a fairly traditional business into something that's niche? So that's I think it's difficult. But what I suggest to people is that they define their target market in such a way that they are the biggest player in it, which, is difficult if you're a plumber, but let's stick with the plumbers. If I'm a plumber in my hometown here of Reading, there are probably 100. But if I say I work on a particular kind of boiler for a particular kind of vertical with a particular kind of problem, I narrow this down until I end up with something where I can be the if not the biggest, the leading provider. So it's about, focus so that your marketing works. And of course, you have to be delivered. You have to be able to deliver something in that space. Otherwise, it's just words.
Sure. Like they say, marketing is only going to expose your good or bad service.
Yes.
Great. So if you're a message from for a plumber in the micro niche could be, you bought a $10,000 boiler with a 10-year warranty. My name is Avi, and I, as a plumber, I help your boiler last 2 years longer, so you don't have to shell out that extra $8,000 for another 2 years.
Or I help you use something that doesn't use coal, gas, or oil, for instance.
There we go. There we go. Awesome. So importance of a micro niche and how you suggest your clients find their micro niche, or your thoughts on that, Kathy.
Two things. I think it's absolutely essential. And I just want to say I've written 2 books, but the latest is called The Most Powerful You, about the 7 damaging power gaps that 98% of women face today. Number 1 is not recognizing your special talents, abilities, and gifts. For women in particular, and I think for men they struggle too, but women are really not good at this. They can't say what they're great at. They can't articulate why they stand out. They can't easily articulate the outcomes that they generate. So if you struggle with that, my book might be very helpful. You do have to understand. So here's the thing. I'm a career and leadership coach, not a business coach. But we have to understand that we are competing with the best of the best. So if someone's looking, for instance, for a career coach, they're going to Google. And if you're not in the top 3 pages, you're going to lose clients, right? So number 1, we have to understand how we're great and why that matters. Number 2, I think that this is going to be controversial, I think, but a lot of coach training says you can coach anything. I think that's hogwash. I think it's absurd. I think the best coaches in the world are not only terrific in the process of coaching, but they have been through what the client wants to go through. That's
Right.
just what I believe. And boy, coach training doesn't teach that. So to me, for instance, if I'm a career coach, it's great that I've had 2 transitions in my career transitions. And how did I do it? But it's not just good enough to know how you did it. I believe you have to do research, 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 research. Talk to hundreds of people who are doing what your clients want to do. And from there, you develop frameworks and methodology that let you stand out in this micro niche. That's my thinking.
Lovely. So it's not just about positioning yourself on your website and saying this is what I do, and it's still not enough by you going through the transition yourself. You still need to research clients and see where they are in their journey and how you can help them transform and what are the challenges. So it's constantly researching and understanding, keeping your ears and eyes peeled to your target audience and seeing how their life is transitioning.
That's it.
Love
And
that.
building frameworks that are replicatable. That's how I would say it.
Building frameworks that are replicatable. Love that. Love that. There are about 25 people right now on Facebook, and there are everybody who's on Facebook. Please drop your question. This is your opportunity. We're going to take 5 questions from the Facebook group as well. So all you coaches who are listening, please drop in your question. I think this is very valuable. Everybody's perspective on how a micro niche should be approached. Christy.
So thank you. And Kathy, I want to say that I have I have a coaching academy, Quantum Success Coaching Academy, since 2008, and we actually teach that. And so you're right, most coaching academies don't, but we teach that, you're coaching who you used to be, and having your own personal experience of going through is going to be what you attract to those, to your best clients, who you're going to serve the best. So it's like you're coaching all those people that are you 10 years ago, 5 years ago, and that you're helping them with the strategies that you're learning, the things that are tried and true principles, but you also have that personal spin. And that's really the best niche to be in. Don't be a parenting expert if you're not a parent and have never parented someone. It's like have your own experience, a personal experience, because you're in that. You have skin in the game, as they say, and you've gone through the challenges, because those people that are wanting to be coached by you, say in business, parenting, losing weight, making money, whatever it is, if you haven't gone through those personal experiences yourself and gotten over it by applying what you coach them on, then it's not authentic. And when you are authentic and you're in your niche, that's the most important thing. You come across as just being a dime a dozen kind of coach. But when you are authentically speaking to what you've been through and that what their issues and problems are and where they were and what the result is at the end, then you're a much better coach, you're a much better marketer.
Lovely. So don't let your insecurities lead you to say, because a lot of people say, as soon as you ask me to do a micro niche, which means I'm going to sort of narrow my audience, narrow my business potential. Right now, I've got no business, but even before starting, I'm like, oh, I don't want to narrow my business potential. And therefore, let me just work with anybody who comes my way. And that's the biggest mistake we do starting off as coaches. So thank you for pointing that out. Brenda.
So my background is branding. So I'm definitely a fan of pick a lane, right? You got to pick a lane, know what you want to stand for. But I guess I come at things slightly differently. Look, I say, choose your niche based on who you want to work with. What people do you want to help? What would speak to your soul, to your passion? Who do you want to help? And then find out, what do they need? And there's 2 needs, right? There's functional needs, like in my case with executives, I want to improve executive presence, or I want to strengthen my leadership skills. Those are functional needs. But what are the emotional needs that they have? And once you can understand the target, their functional needs and emotional needs, now you've got your sweet spot. Now you've got that, because you're going to be doing this a lot. This is your profession. So choose something that's going to really speak to your soul. And I think that's really, really important. But the other thing that I would say, just slightly different than what a few other folks have been mentioning here, which is, I think there's a big difference between mentoring, coaching, and consulting. And we have to be really careful as coaches that we're not hired to be experts at what those people do. I don't think. We're hired to be coaches. We're hired to help them figure it out on their own. And if they're always looking to you for advice, mentoring, that's consulting and mentoring. So we have to be really careful, I think, that we're looking at this as coaching and not consulting or mentoring. So I am an executive coach. I work across 70 industries, you know, and whenever I work from physicians and hospitals to CEOs of major gambling, I mean, it's bizarre the number of companies I work with. But they always say, well, how can you be a coach? I said, because I don't need to be an expert. I need to be an expert at coaching. I don't need to be an expert in a particular topic. That's the way I look at it.
I love that. The difference between coaching, mentoring, consulting.
Yeah.
Very valid point. Thank you for saying that. Kat.
All right, so I have a lot of thoughts on this, not only because like I'm a master coach, but I'm also a certified trainer in coaching as well as other renegade wellness modalities. So here's what I want to say about this. The first thing before we talk about positioning is like, what season is this business owner in? This is really important. There's 80% of people who get into coaching don't know who they want to help.
Right.
They just transformed their life through life coaching or through training. So like life coaching as a general niche is a niche, right? But it's their thoughts they're having about it. Oh, I'm just a general coach. Everyone's telling me to niche. You don't need to niche. You just need to own your shit. Pardon my French. But like Kathy was saying, own your gifts. Own the fact that you have tools. Coaching tools help people, right? Coaches can live in a box, living off of $5 a month. A coach is here for all of it, the whole life experience. They don't need all the accolades and the Porsches to say that, yes, I'm a coach, right? A coach isn't meant to have the best of the best life. They just have coaching tools, right? So
Right.
like in the beginning with like new coaches, new entrepreneurs, like if you're in 80% of the people and you don't know what you want to do and you don't know what niche to pick, don't get trapped in that. I have too many
Sure.
clients that they don't even start their business. They take a year, I need to find my niche, and they hire people to help them find their niche. Be a general life coach. I help you get results drama-free, done. And then instead of going outside your clients to find the patterns, coach clients, coach all sorts of people, help them get all sorts of life results. Then you identify the patterns and you identify what you like. And then you create your processes from there. And then once you've established authority, then pick your niche, right? But you don't want to pick a niche if you don't even have access to those people. And then if your priority is money, right? If you're a new entrepreneur, most likely your priority is money. So you have to be willing. Am I willing to go out and niche down now and be willing to take as long as it takes to create that audience? And if not, okay, who's around me right now? And then go for it, right? There's nothing wrong if you're starting out new to just be like, you know what? My top priority is just to replace my corporate income. And then when that doesn't drive you anymore, you'll have another why. Those are my thoughts about it. I have a lot of thoughts.
Lovely. No, I love you're giving everybody watching here the permission to say you can go either route and figure it out yourself.
Yeah,
Lovely.
because like, of course, there's some people, right, where it's like, you know, I went through like, you know, postpartum depression and now I want to help other women do that, right? But that's like 20% of people, right? Like for me, I just knew, like, of course, I had business skills, like I had my learned skills and experiences, but then I also transformed my life through coaching. And so I blended the two. So I just help business people, but I help them with coaching tools instead of here's this framework, good luck, bye.
Got it. Got it. And so you don't need a Porsche to be a coach. But you could get a Porsche if you became a coach.
Yes, right. But you see what I'm saying? I'm just saying, because a lot of coaches, like, they get hung up in that whole, like, but my life isn't perfect, or I'm struggling with this, I'm struggling with that. How can if I'm not hitting my goals, I feel kind of fraudulent to help other people hit their goals, right? So it's this whole, like, businesses don't have problems, people do.
I love that. I love that. That was fantastic. No, you have actually given a lot of people a permission to say, you know what, you can go either route. And thank you for saying that. Kayla.
So
By
I
the
just
way,
want
this
to,
conversation is helping so many people unlock so many, where they're stuck. I don't have a micro niche. Like you said, I'm going to take 1 year off to find my micro niche. I'll hire an expert. You're saying either follow a pattern, like most of you said, fine, that's absolutely fine. Step by step framework. A lot of people like frameworks. And for everybody else, if you just start with where you're from and then figure it out. Sorry, Kayla, over to you.
no, that's okay. No problem. So I just wanted to quickly say, Christy, I actually learned from you when I first started my coaching 6 years ago. So you were very influential for me when I first got started. So it's an honor to be here with you and to say, hey. So a lot of what you shared actually helped me on my journey. And so a little bit of my backstory with me being in corporate America and starting out with business coaching, I can attest to fact to both Christy and with Kat. When I started, I didn't really know who I wanted to coach. I was really trying to gather my footing. So I didn't micro niche right away. My goal was to get out of corporate America and make money. And in 90 days, from launching my business, I replaced my income as the new mom, the breadwinner of our family, and said sayonara to my corporate job and came home and worked. Once I was home and was able to really dive more into my business is where I micro niched after working with so many people and offering free coaching and just focusing on troubleshooting people in their business, people having issues in their life. What was the issues that they were working on? Because I knew that I could troubleshoot quickly. And with my strategic thinking and creative thinking, I could easily move them through and get them really quick results. And that's really what I just focused on. I focused on what was I really good at? Who did I want to work with that I was passionate with, that I knew offhand? And who did I currently have in my network to make things, make waves and momentum? And then from there, then I did the slight pivot and I said, okay, now that I've worked with these people and I have a better understanding of what I can do, who I'm really drawn to, the skills that I have, my background and a journey of what I've gone through, because I have done side hustles for years, MLM, direct sales, what have you. I did all of that. And so I had that experience. And from there, I then dove into that micro niching, and with that micro niching, things then obviously flourished even more. So I can definitely say picking a micro niche is important. Yes. Tapping into what Kathy said, knowing gifts and your skills and what you can do at. Yes. You want to do that. What Kat said, just get in there and, get your feet wet and just start is important, because if you get hung up on trying to find your micro niche when you really don't know what you're doing yet, who you want to serve, it's going to take you a lot longer to get building. Just get momentum, just get in there and get started. And not everything is going to be perfect, and be okay with things not being perfect. Okay. I don't believe in failure. There's no such thing as failure for me. It's a lesson to be learned. And there's always an educational moment in there for me. So there was people that I had worked, that I had given free coaching to, that I was like, okay, it was really great to have them, but that's probably not where I wanted to go. And I knew, and I put that on my list. Like, this is probably not a category of people I want to work with. It's not really my zone of genius, whatever the case may be is, but just be open to the possibilities as you're getting started and find your footing. And you will find the people that you are drawn to that really light you up, and really find your zone of genius where you can excel the most as you're coaching. And, like Brenda said, be careful about your coaching and your consulting and your mentoring. So many coaches in the space do consulting, and I do consulting work on the side as well, separate from my coaching. And a lot of new coaches come in doing consulting work or doing sometimes even illegal counseling, which is a little scary. So definitely make sure and be mindful of that you are doing coaching. The client is the expert. You are there to guide them and help them on their journey. And you don't have to know everything. You just have to be able to take them on from a journey from A to B.
Fantastic. Thank you very much.
You bet.
Anthony.
Yeah, so I love this conversation about micro niches. So I think of micro niche, before we can even go into niches, we have to back up to the offer. And lots of people don't take enough time to get their offer right. So a really good irresistible offer comes down to having like kind of 6 ingredients, almost like baking a cake. You have to know to the right person with the right problem, with the right promise, like what is the specific right promise that you're going to get for people, from the right position, however you're positioning yourself, with the right process that you have based upon your life experience, your frameworks, etc., to get them to the specific result, and the end at the right price. Like, if the offer is not right, your niche means absolutely nothing. Like, the offer has to be right first. Otherwise, you can market all day long and people's not gonna buy anything. So offer. Once we have like the irresistible offer dialed in, then it's like asking a couple of questions. One question, if we're looking at online, is like, are there any affinity groups that these people are hanging out in? Are there certain Facebook groups? Are there certain forums like you talked about in the early days of the internet? Because if there's affinity groups, then it's really easy for us to be able to go in and build relationships, because we can find them. We can find them. And then also, next question is like, would you have a beer with them? Would you have a glass of wine with them? Would you have a scotch? Would you go drive some streetcar racing or whatever? Because if the answer is no, well, you may have the offer right. You may have your marketing like niche right, but then you're going to resent your customers at some point in the time. And then you're going to burn everything to the ground and you're going to start all over again, right? So the offer, affinity groups, and then see if you like the people. Next thing I see a lot of people get wrong on this is they're looking to the marketing or the micro niche to save them. And at the end of the day, marketing is nothing more than an amplification tool of who you are. Like one of the universal laws of the planet is the law of being. The law of being states that the world would give us exactly that which we are, our core consisting of the thoughts and feelings that we're holding on to predominantly. So if at our core, we're already at this place of like, oh, I don't know if they're going to trust me, if I have enough value. I mean, hopefully I can dial in this marketing niche, a micro niche, and all this business stuff to save me. So hopefully I feel confident. All that's going to happen is we're going to have more opportunities to not feel confident. Because at the end of the day, the person who's congruent and has certainty in their offer and their messaging and the value that they're bringing to the marketplace, they're going to win. They're going to win. And the last thing I'll say about this is have some fun. Give yourself permission to mess it up. I see so many times people are like, they have to get the right messaging. And messaging is important. There are millions of dollars to be made in getting your messaging sharp. But you don't get it sharp by getting it sharp. You get it sharp by like shipping and getting some feedback and shipping and getting some feedback. And the feedback has nothing to do with our identity or our worthiness as a human being. It's just some feedback. It's just some feedback for us to course correct and get better and better and better. And I also have found that there's at least a minimum of $100,000 sitting in every single person who's in the game of business and their personal Facebook profile. If they'll get their offer right, and if they'll start shipping content and just building relationships with people. Just like, I mean, Avi, you're probably one of the best at just genuinely reaching out and building relationships with nothing attached, right? Sending a friend request is just like shaking a hand. And we're living in this time and place where, you know, lots of people can't go out and network, but it's social networking, my friends, building relationships. And so many people are looking to marketing and business tactics and social media marketing strategies to influence and manipulate. And I'm all down with some principles of influence, like it's part of the game of marketing, but it has to come from like this place of genuine curiosity and desire just to connect with other human beings. It's not like, oh, let me learn how to send this direct message or create this piece of content in order to get. We didn't do that before the game of like social media marketing. We'd walk into a room and we'd just show up and shake somebody's hand and have a genuine conversation. Why does it have to change when we're coming into somebody's DMs?
Right.
Why can't we just, again, use marketing to amplify who we're being at our core and leverage also the strategies on top of that? Because it's kind of like a two-tiered approach. The doing stuff, very important, and also who we're being. So I could go on and on for this for legitimately a good hour. So I'm just going to leave it at that and see if you have any questions.
That was fantastic, Anthony. I loved when you said ship and feedback. And when you specifically said, hey, it's just feedback. It's nothing personal. Just take it and sharpen your skill again and go back into the market with another offer. So thank you for saying that. All right, Kitty, over to you.
I think in my business, I started out, I wanted to niche down to working with teachers. I knew two things for sure when I started out as a coach. I wanted to work with teachers some way, somehow. I did not know what that was going to look like yet. And I wanted to be of service. Those were the only two things that I knew for sure. I started out thinking I was going to be helping teachers more in a life coaching capacity, dealing with the guilt of leaving teaching, because that's often the first barrier that teachers run into. They feel guilty about leaving. They worry about what's going to happen to their kids. They've stressed themselves out to the point of becoming sick, but they are still feeling guilty about leaving the profession. So that was originally what I thought I was going to be doing. In the course of the evolution of my business, I broadened first. I got trained by a woman who had been my coach, my career coach. I took training with her, and then I worked with her company for 14 months as an independent coach consultant, where I learned all about resumes and cover letters and LinkedIn profiles and interview skills and all the other parts of a successful job search. I worked with clients from all over the world and all walks of life. I only worked with one teacher the entire 14 months. But when I left that company to go back to get to my core interest, which was to work with teachers and to be of service, I niched down, and now I only work with teachers, and they find me through the magic of Google and Facebook and all the other marketing tools that are out there, because when they are ready to leave the classroom, they find me at Teachers in Transition. And that's how I managed to go from small to large to small again in the course of my evolution. So my advice to people who are just starting out and they're not sure what micro niche they want to drill down into, they just know they want to help a certain group of people, is to just start and allow themselves to learn from their experiences and evolve with time. Because if you're in the right profession, it will begin to take shape and you'll wind up finding your particular niche.
That's fantastic. So is that the name of your company, Teachers in Transition?
Transition, yes, sir.
It's so, I mean, I love the clarity. It just says it all. There's a micro niche right over there. Excellent. Thank you, Kitty. Sarah, over to you.
So I teach what's referred to as the Soul Aligned Success Business Method, and I help specifically women that are on the awakened path or waking up to their gifts, which are different actually than their passions and their interests. And so some of them already come from a corporate background and they're sort of building their soul aligned business on the back end so they can jump ship. Some already do jump ship, or they're in the process of that. Others are already working as a coach, a teacher, or a healer, or a light worker of some kind. I believe that my role is to help them shorten that learning curve. And part of my journey was not niching down and being all over the place, having a message that was spread too thin, spinning my wheels for several years, and not really stepping fully into owning my gift and my power and my mission and my message, and creating a program that is then in alignment with that. So every little piece of it has to be in alignment: the messaging, who you're here to serve, the mission, the program itself. And I say that the program has to be a dream come true to the younger version of you. Now, a dream come true to the younger version of me would have been something that's going to escalate me on my journey, that's going to get me into fully serving who I'm here to serve. And my clients are very impact driven. They know income's going to be a side effect of that, but impact is their primary motivation. They know that they're here for a bigger thing, something bigger than what they've been doing thus far, and their soul is calling them for more. So to keep it specific just to the niching part, it's really about reverse engineering their own branding stories and who they are, getting back into the mind and the heart of who they were before, and recognizing the transformational journey that they've been on, which, many will still have a little imposter syndrome or self-doubt around that, but they do have results in their own life. If they're still new, they've likely been coaching other people even without being a professional coach for who knows how long, but they do get results for a specific thing that they've already transformed within their own life. And I help them extract that. And it's reverse engineering their own transformational journeys so that they can get super, super, super clear and niche specific. But it's from some place. It's not who should I serve because, oh, this makes sense. And it's who am I aligned to serve? Who's going to light me up? Who am I going to jump out of bed in the morning and serve? If I had a soulmate client land in my lap today, who's going to give me so much excitement and energy and momentum that I can't not do this? It's amazing. Like, who is that person? And how does that person, and where are they exactly at on the journey? Not a moment before they're ready for you and not a moment after they're ready for you. Where are they at on their journey right now, where they're raising their hand and saying, seeking and asking for the kind of information that you're ready to give them, and getting super, super clear on those core defining moments of where that person is on their own journey when they're ready for a coach or a mentor or whoever to step into their life and help them through that transitional piece of their journey, getting super clear on that. And the sooner you get clear on that, the sooner your message is going to be magnetic and it's going to land in front of the right person to resonate with them at a core level. Otherwise, your message is going to be very vanilla and very, in my opinion, very vanilla and very speaking to the masses, speaking to the many, when in actuality, even if your services can help the masses, you don't want to speak to the masses, in my opinion. You want to speak to the person that you know because you were them and you've been through X, Y, or Z, and you've come out the other side shining, and you already know you can get the results. And even if it's only results in your own life, that's enough for you to show up and really bust through some of this imposter syndrome and step confidently into who you're really feeling, that you're here to serve. And so it's all about, for me, reverse engineering, but nothing can happen before you're in alignment. Alignment trumps the logarithm, alignment trumps marketing, alignment trumps all of that. When you're fully in alignment, your niche, your messaging, the container that you're building, all is an extension of that. And then the sales process and the sales calls and everything just feel like they're just magic because you're doing nothing but attracting people that are identical to your messaging and to your program and to who you were 5 years ago or 10 years ago. So by the time they show up in front of you, it's just like, yeah, we get started like next week. When do you want to work together? Like they want to work with you. There's no sales process. It's just two people having a powerful conversation, coming to the realization that it's time to work together.
That has given me goosebumps. And I know I personally slip in and out of this kind of alignment with my own ecosystem in my head and my clients. So I'm going to probe deeper into that. But Sarah, thank you very much. That was magical, really powerful. Moving gears, getting into the next part of the conversation, I want to ask all of you people on behalf of the audience. Many of you, I love the messages from giving permission to go general and then micro niche, then following a format and everything in between. I think what you've given is to the audience on YouTube, Facebook, everywhere they'll be watching, permission to listen to everyone and then find their own path, and saying every path is absolutely fine. Now, but all of you also mentioned that your clients are a reflection of your inner life, of what you want, your needs, desires, insecurities, everything as human beings. When our clients are resonating or vibrating at a certain level in their ecosystem, in their lives, they find us, and vice versa. I love what Sarah said. I want to be in alignment with my clients in a similar way. But I change. I still find myself being insecure at times. I still find myself asking myself, will I be able to do it again? Will I be able to, get to that next level with my own self? While coaches find themselves being human, do you find clients who are also finding themselves at that point in time and you're like, my God, this client has come to me because I have sort of shifted. I won't say gone above or below my sort of center line, but I've shifted. Not really happy with the shift, but this may be a journey in itself. And that's when bang on, I get on a client call and I'm like, oh my God, this guy's a reflection of what I'm going through right now. Does that happen? And then how do you deal with that? We'll start with Nick again.
No, is the answer from me, I'm afraid. I think, to take what Brenda was saying, I'm really at the consultancy end of this spectrum.
Sure.
So I need to understand the barriers in between my clients' ears. But the nearest probably I get to what you're describing is that, there's a state of flow when you're in a coaching meeting,
Sure.
when you feel that you're really helping and that they're really understanding and the light bulb's going on. But that's probably as close as it gets for me. I'm afraid it's a much more pragmatic approach, which is, what is your problem? I've seen it before. Have you thought of doing this?
Right.
So,
lovely. No, and that's the power of having all 10 of you here.
well,
Everybody has a different approach, and the audience that's watching, and I keep looking at my phone because my Facebook group is going live over here to see how the audience is resonating with all of you. So again, once again, message for everybody who's watching now, live or later, please give a thumbs up, a heart sign, or some kind of emoji on whose message is most resonating with you at this point in time. Nick, Kathy, Kat, Kitty, Sarah, Anthony, Brenda, Christy, Kayla. Everybody has a similar tone, but with a different path to the same outcome. So please let me know whose message is most resonating with you at this point in time. Thank you, Nick. Kathy,
Okay.
over to you.
First of all, I'm so inspired by all of you, and I wish I could have a private conversation with every one of you. Wow. But I want to say a few things, and I'll try to be quick. My biggest takeaway is do it the way that it feels right to you. And then I will talk about clients resonating. But back to Brenda's point, I want to say this, and I know this is controversial too. The reason I'm very successful is I throw everything I got into every session. That is coaching, consulting, teaching, and training. And I've even interviewed, I have a Forbes blog, a podcast. I've interviewed really illustrious people. And I interviewed Karen Kimsey House, who's the co-founder of CTI, Coactive, huge leadership training organization. I said on the podcast, I said, Karen, am I doing it right? I'm a consultant sometimes, and I'm a trainer and a teacher. And she goes, absolutely, that's perfectly right. But you want to make sure you give them permission to understand you're not the expert in their life. You're the expert in transformation. So I will say, I'm going to be really directive now, Brenda. I'm going to tell you what I think, but I want you to push back. So I did want to say that. I did want to say about what Kat said. There are no business problems. There are people problems. I see business problems. I've had do they stem from our own internal gaps? 100%. But I've had business problems, spending $30,000 on PR when I shouldn't have, that kind of thing. So I did want to touch on that. But back to your question, Avi, I'm a little on Nick's page here that I have worked for 15 years with 20,000 women around. I want more, different, and better in my career. And I have something called a career path assessment. It's 11 pages of questions I wish someone had asked me 40 years ago. And if I'd answered those questions deeply, I wouldn't have made the mistakes I made in my career. When I read this career path assessment, I see almost everything that's going on with this person. So I do this 5-minute brain dump. I tell them, here's what I see. Am I right? Am I wrong? So the point is, I do feel a few steps ahead, if not a lot ahead of where they are, because they're struggling with a lot of things I've written books about and I've lived and overcome and work with so many people. But where, to your point, where I do resonate with exactly what they're going through is in my courses. I teach an Amazing Career Project course, and I'll find, this week is on networking, and something will have just happened to me that made me, let's say, feel vulnerable, or let's say something negative. I don't believe in that. I don't believe in failure. But let's say I had a colossal failure and they're coming and saying, I just had a colossal failure. Then I feel 100% resonant with them. And I think it's important, as people have said, when you're a consultant, like when I'm telling them, here's what I think the issue is. I think you have power gap number 2, 5, and 7. Let's close those. Then I'm a consultant. But when you're really just being a person and showing up every day, of course there's resonance with everything they're going through, I think. Does that make sense?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I love it. 10 different perspectives and how it's going to help I'm just, difficult for me to stay centered and in the present. I'm just thinking when this goes live on YouTube and people are saying, hey, I found my answer. I found my answer. It changes so many, every statement from so many years of experience. I've never used this, but I see a lot of large multinational companies saying we've got 200 years of experience under our belt, and the company only started 10 years ago. So today, maybe we can say on this show, we've got 100 years of experience. And so, guys, you better be watching and asking questions over here. It's a once in a lifetime opportunity. And I really, really appreciate every single minute that all of you people are spending with us over here. Christy.
Yeah, so I'm loving this conversation because my new book and my last book all talk about the power of alignment, and it's actually the first principle that I talk about in the desire factor, that when you're creating a desire, whether it's better business or more peace within yourself personally, it's all about alignment. And we're all human, so we all get out of alignment. I wish it was like I found alignment and I've kept it forever. God, wouldn't that be awesome? But we're all human, and we all have contrast that shows up, and we all have things that we are attracting to ourselves. I also channel, and the channel that I channel is called The Council. And they said that it's not lessons, it's literally gifts, because we're attracting where we are, and what we attract is an opportunity for us to release what we've attracted, and so that we can become free, because that ultimately is the gift. Once we can release that block, when we have, transition past that, or whether it's, I don't feel like and I feel like I'm an imposter, or I don't feel like I can coach this person, or I don't feel like I'm at the place I need to be. Perfection is not what you need to do and look at as a coach, because none of us are perfect. And we all are going through the human experience. So, but finding alignment is always that ultimate intention. And for me personally, that the way I really connect with my clients, and the way I am also when I'm teaching, is that I share those human moments. I share what happens in those moments when contrast comes up, and then what I use the spiritual and universal principles to overcome it, because it helps someone that is going through maybe not the exact same situation, but something similar that they're struggling with, and helps them learn. So I'm just sharing my own personal experience. And that's what I love about being a coach, is that I can say, hey, this happened to me. This is my story. This is the principle that I shifted and how I did it, so that they can go, oh, maybe that would help me too. And they can relate to me on that level, that I'm willing to be real and honest, that I'm not, that perfect person because I'm a coach. I've said long ago, just because you're a coach doesn't mean you're perfect. And the perception that coaches have to have this perfect life where, nothing ever goes wrong or contrast doesn't show up, it's not real. All of us have that. So, and finding our way back into resonance and back into alignment is really the key to a fabulous life. And so when you have dedication to that, then those gifts come less and less. But when they do, you understand that it's not something you're doing wrong, or that you have a problem, or that you can't achieve something. It's an opportunity to expand more into who you really are. So
Lovely. There's nothing wrong with you if something like this happens. Just recognize it as another gift and work with it. Lovely.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much. Brenda.
So once again, I guess I'll look at this slightly differently. I just released my 11th book, and it's in this I talk about, I like to keep things simple, and I really only think there's two mindsets we can be in at any point in time, and one is fear-based, and one is what I call the joy of possibility, the potentiality of what can be. And when I get ready to go into a coaching session, I don't care what's happening in my life. It is my obligation to them to be in the joy of possibility for them. Because if they're in a place of fear, and let's be honest, most people that are in a coaching situation, it's easy to fall into that. It's not my job to get sucked into it with them. It's my job to hold them at a higher space, and to hold them into that place of joy of possibility, and see who they really are, so that I can be that person for them, because that's what they need at that moment. So it doesn't mean I won't share a story of maybe what happened to me, but I will always say, is that all right with you? At the beginning of my coaching, I draw a line on a piece of paper, and I say there's a range of coaches. One over here at the end of this line is 100% asking coach. They're going to ask you questions because they know the answers lie inside of you. And on the other end of this line over here is 100% advising coach, giving you tips, tools, techniques, telling you stories, telling you expert, being a consultant. Where do you want me to be in that line?
Nice.
And what I do is, because the truth is, it's not up to me to tell them what to do. I'm not there to solve their problems. They are there to solve their problems. I am there to be their coach and to help them, hold them in that joy of possibility state, which I know is their natural birthright. And I don't care how high up the chain they are, we're all fundamentally like that. So I really focus on that. And it's not my job to get sucked into fear with them. What I do is before I go into every coaching session, I get centered, I align myself, and I say, it is my job. It's showtime, folks. Even if I'm having a bad day, it is showtime. I am here to support them full on, full barrel, 100%, because that is my job and that's what they paid me to do. So again, I like to keep things simple. Are they in fear? Are they in the joy of possibility? And my goal is by the time they walk out of my coaching office, they are flying high on the joy of possibility.
I love that. Thank you so much.
Mhm.
Fantastic. That was. Kat, back to you.
All right. Okay. So there's like a couple things I want to like coattail on. So one, like really quickly going to like the people, like businesses don't have problems, people have problems. This is my philosophy on it. And that's like the thing, right? It's just, we're all speaking to the same thing, just different philosophies, right? Here's my philosophy. My philosophy is like, okay, like this is what happens. People just act like things happen to them. Like my business just happened to become 30K in debt or something, right? And that's not the case. This is why, like, at least for me, like, I fully believe that if you're in a leadership role, you need someone who can clearly help you see your mind and then make a conscious decision from there, right? And that's the thing. 30K in debt happens when you weren't consciously aware of the thoughts and the decisions you were making, period, right? If you can't own it, then you can't own the, like going forward, evaluating, tweaking. It's not failure, it's feedback, move forward, right? It doesn't just happen to us. That's my idea, that's my point. The other thing I want to say is I'm always like fully honest with my clients and my audience, but especially like my private clients, when we're in session, I'm always telling them like, look, the same thing that you're doing right now, I'm doing the exact same thing in my life. Like I make it so clear, I never ask them to do things I'm not doing. Why? Because we're always solving the same problems.
Sure.
You'll never like be over a specific mindset block. You're always solving the same problem, just at different levels. So you should always be resonating with your clients because we're all humans. We all have the same problems, just at different levels and different various degrees, right? That's my take on it. So I'm always resonating with my clients. Just I'm at a different level of problem solving than they are.
Lovely. Like I said, this panel is giving everybody watching now and in future the permission to be who they want to be. The 10 different perspectives. Thank you so much. I just can't thank all of you enough. Kayla, back to you.
So I think for me, I can definitely say that there has been a lot of moments through my career where I have recently just gone through something and I was attracting a slew of clients, or my clients then went through the same thing. So we were going through similar experiences, but I was a couple of steps ahead. So a really good example is, like I mentioned, when my dad passed away in 2017, I had 7 or 8 clients that had all lost a parent or a loved one within that first year. So it forced me to take a really good look at what I was doing in my healing journey and deal with my grief, but also be able to help them on that journey because they were in the same spot as me. We were trying to grow and scale our business. We didn't want to completely shut our doors and go down that road, but we also needed to heal and work through our grief and, what was going on in our experiences. And by doing so, by me being just a few steps ahead and going through that experience, I could have the empathy and the compassion and the understanding and show them the grace. But I was also able to utilize and create a framework for basically overcoming adversity when life happens and things like this really come up in your business, and so that it doesn't allow it to derail you. So that has been, one of the key things. And I find time and time again that as I'm going through something and I share about it, I'm an open book. I share. If I'm having a hot mess day, I share it. But I share those moments, and it never fails. Other people, I'm going through this too, or I'm going through something similar. And you create that space and you hold that space for other people that you can share your wisdom and your experience, but they can also share with you and you can learn and grow together. And I take that approach with my clients that, I will share my stories and I ask, I've been through something similar. Would you like to hear how I work through this or what happened with me, and create that space for them and let it be. But there have been a lot of times where the God in the universe has aligned things so perfectly. And I kind of chuckle and it's like, okay, this is coming to me for a reason. I'm attracting these people for a reason. This is an opportunity for growth. an opportunity for transformation and an opportunity for me to really look at the things I need to deal with, because I need to deal with them so that I can help my clients also deal with them and work them through it.
Gifts, like Brenda said.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I really appreciate, Kayla, to be able to share what you went through after your first year of loss. I can only, thank you for being so open and vulnerable for all of us over here, because
Sure.
that allows, like I said, every single conversation on social media allows at least one person to change their life by that half a degree, which gives them a completely different outcome. So I just like to continuously reiterate. I know all of you people are awesome coaches and you know that, but I just think it's my job to reiterate and tell all of you people that every single word that you say is impacting people to change one thing about their life and have a different outcome. So thank you very, very much again. Anthony, back to you, my friend.
Thank you. Do you mind asking the original question again, and what
Sure.
specific result you're hoping to gain from the question?
Of
Because I want
course,
to make
yes.
sure I speak to it.
Absolutely. So the idea is that what we feel is, when you're working with coaching clients, many times you feel, I'm attracting in my life or in my coaching system somebody who is, so something changes within me as a human being. I'm a coach, something changes within me. I feel more insecure, more anxious, not so sure about myself as I go through my life entrepreneurship journey and all of that. And bang, then I'm on a video call with someone, and that person is a reflection of who I am right now. I was not that person 2 weeks ago, but right now I am, and boom, there's another person who's just like me, right? So I get so how do you deal with these kind of situations when something like this happens? I like what Nick said. Nick says, I'm very pragmatic. You got a problem, I've got a solution. I've seen it many times. Tell me how I can help you. Great. Brenda says, opportunities, fear-based or gift-based. Everybody had a different take on it. What's your take?
So here's the thing. So coming back to like Paul and Christian scripture, and this isn't about Christianity. Follow me on the principle level here.
Sure.
In Acts, Paul talks about, he says like, yo, why is it that I'm not doing the thing I want to do? And why is it I'm doing the thing that I don't want to do? So here's going to be my beef with the philosophy that Nick has. There's nothing wrong with it, but here's where on an execution strategy, when we come into humans, it doesn't work, because life isn't black and white. We want it to be because it's really easy, but the reality is there's a spectrum, and none of it's right or wrong or should or shouldn't. The reality is, if we come back to some wisdom, is there is a spectrum. So as a consultant, we're hired to get a result, and we could say, hey, do these things. This is what to do. And we can walk in integrity and say, hey, I did what I told you to do. You didn't do it. But if that's only our reality, is it's black and white, well, what happens is we start selling a lot of people potentially. And again, they're going to wrestle with the same thing Paul was wrestling with, in year 80, 170 or 300, whatever it was, right? Where they're like, man, Nick gave me like the goods, but why is it that I'm finding myself not doing the thing that I know to do and doing the stuff that I don't want to do? So now we're coming back to, man, there's some human elements in the game of business. This is true. This is wisdom. So part of this is understanding there's a bit of a paradox. There's power, and our purpose is found in the paradox. Meaning, on one hand, I am the center of my universe. On the other hand, I am a little speck of dust, floating on a little speck of dust through an infinite galaxy. Which is true, Avi? Which is true, brother? Which one is true?
Both.
They're both true.
Right.
They're both true. So now coming back to human potentiality. Until we can be honest and connect to the truth about how we are inauthentic, we really can't be authentic. Like in the game of marketing, like authentic, I'm genuine. I'm going to just be super direct the way I am. It's fucking bullshit until we're willing to embrace the potentiality that I'm also inauthentic.
Right.
Now, here's going to be my issue with the personal development world right now. A neutral event happens in life. We all experience this as a human being. From the neutral event, part of what we do, and this is the beingness of being human, is we create stories and meanings. Those stories and meanings then churn emotions. When we now have stories and meanings about emotions, we have more emotions, which we create more stories and meanings, which we create more emotions, which creates more stories and meanings, and a pressure loop builds and builds and builds and builds. And most people try to bypass their experience because they're terrified of what the experience means about them because they don't know who they are outside of their stories and meanings. I talk about this in my book that drops on April 7th. It's called Unstoppable Beacon. It's all about maintaining certainty and uncertainty. It's all about being the center in the chaos. It's all about unlocking our potential. In science, there's a simple physics experiment called high road, low road. You can look it up on YouTube. The experiment is like a race car track, like a little Hot Wheels like track, right? You guys know Hot Wheels tracks cars, yeah?
Oh, yeah.
The high road is like a kind of a straight line from point A to point B. The low road is like a half pipe that still goes the same horizontal distance, point A to point B. They take two stainless steel balls and they're going to release them at the same time. Which one's going to get to the other side fastest? Most people would say, well, fastest path, straightest path is the solution. Just like we do here in the game of business. Give me the answer. Let's go. I don't got time to waste. Give me the answer. But in physics, my friend, you drop the balls, the low road by far beats the fastest path every day, all day. Why? Because the potential energy stored in the balls is transferred into kinetic energy. The same potentiality lies within us when we're willing to go into our shadows to experience the thing that we're afraid of. Oftentimes for entrepreneurs, the reason they're stressed, the reason they're burnt out, the reason they're overwhelmed, number one, they will not connect to the truth. I'm angry. I'm frustrated.
Right.
I don't feel enough. I don't feel like an imposter.
Right.
It means nothing. It's just the truth. Second step, they do not surrender to experience. They attempt to bypass their experience, which then gets them stuck in a pressure loop. One of the universal principles is the universe abhors a void. When we surrender to the experience and go to the pit, it burns through, and all emotion is nothing more than energy in motion. So it's like we're standing in a river, moment by moment, we're standing in a new river. The emotions pass, and on the other side of the emotion, the experience, there's a void. And in the void, inspired action drops through, clarity drops through. And we're not building and constructing our lives in resistance to the very thing we fear. Coming back to what you said, imposter syndrome. When I can own the spectrum of like, I am an imposter and I'm not an imposter, they're both potentialities. I'm in the center where I am at cause and I am being cause in choosing how to leverage and wield my creative power as a human being. In this place, I am everything. And I am nothing. And from this place, I can choose how I want to move. And as a coach, I can be in any experience with any human, holding space of unconditional love, guiding them back to the truth of who they truly are, which is a powerful creator capable of creating anything they genuinely desire. So part of the answer, in my opinion, is understanding we're all of it. And until we can come home to that, that's what's doing us. We're not doing it. Most people build businesses because there's some type of shadow of like, oh, I'm not enough, or oh, I'm not safe, or oh, I'm not, whatever their deepest fear is, which has been constructed based upon their childhood and their environments and their society and their culture. and the events they experienced, and they're really not the ones doing life. Something subconsciously is doing them. So this would be my answer, Avi.
Perfect.
Coming
Love that.
home to all of it.
Lovely. I love that. You are authentic and not authentic at the same time, and that both polarities are absolutely fine. None of them need to pull you in either direction. Both of them are yours. Accept them as they come. Thank you so much. I know, one or two of you may need to leave in the next 6 minutes, and that's absolutely fine. We will carry on for another 5 minutes past the hour. We just want to finish this question, and then we have just one last final round, which is going to be very interesting, because it's going to be all of you choosing whoever you want to ask your final question to, because this is like a masterclass, a mastermind of its kind. I want to give all of you the opportunity, because I see everybody's face light up when somebody or the other says something. Obviously, many messages are resonating here with each other. Yes, Sarah, please go ahead. And we'll come back to Kitty then.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, because I apologize. I do have to jump off in a few minutes for a coaching call. So I'm going to stay specifically on topic to your question, which I believe you were asking. Clients are a mirror. I talk about this a lot because Anthony mentioned human elements. Your business actually also has a spiritual element to it. It is your own ascension journey. And essentially, yes, your clients are a mirror, and so is everything else. Spiritual law of reflection is probably the quickest way to start to transform, when you start to recognize that everything is yourself outpictured on a level, and without going down that rabbit hole. If you were to experience something, of course, you're going to be attracting clients that are a few phases behind you. So that's not what I'm referring to, because that's part of your mission, or who you're here to serve, right? People that you're a few steps ahead of them. And so you're going to recognize those coming up. But the moment you had the thought, this is interesting, this person's popping up with this exact experience, the moment you had the trigger or the thought about it, that was something that's reflecting back to you, right? The student is the teacher is the student, right? And everything is always mutually beneficial. Every relationship is mutually beneficial, including the ones you have with your clients. And I talk about this a lot with coaches that are just starting out. When they don't own their gift, they have trouble, they have a lack money mindset, or they have fear around sales. They're not standing in their power. And what are they attracting? They're attracting people that don't have money, that can't buy their services, that only want free stuff, that don't want to invest in themselves, because they're not truly invested in themselves. They're not truly owning who they are and their gift and what they bring to the table. So of course they're going to attract other people that aren't willing to invest and really want to dive in deep with what they have to offer. Yeah. So to a degree, your clients are a mirror, always reflecting back to you something that you can be tweaking within your own energy field and your own level of consciousness, rather, in order to rise up to the next level by truly stepping into that power now in the present moment. Right. And your clients are going to be giving you these little indicators. They're going to say the perfect thing at the perfect time that just resonates with you. But when it resonates, that's how you know. So not necessarily like everybody that you're attracting that is a few steps behind you, you're not going to be like, oh, why am I attracting people that still have X, Y, or Z? No, you've transcended a certain leg of your journey. But when something resonates with you, when something triggers you or resonates with you and gives you that little aha moment, yeah, that's something for you. That's something for you to look inward on. And so in that respect, your clients are a mirror, in my opinion. And so that being said, that's what I wanted to say for.
Okay, we've come to the last for this question, Kitty, and then we're going to have the last round. Kitty, over to you. Resonance with your clients. You're your own client. Insecurities. You're finding your own self in a mirror reflection every day with your clients. How true is that, and how do you deal with it?
Well, I think it's natural that if we are putting ourselves out there to attract a particular type of client, because we have specific gifts that we want to share, specific knowledge that we have to provide, a specific offer, if you will, that it's natural that we would be attracting the type of person who would resonate with us. And I think that's as it should be. My clients are not necessarily Christy's clients or Kathy's clients or Nick's clients. They're my clients because I have something that they want and need. And I also learn from them.
Sure.
It's a mutually beneficial relationship if you're with the right client. Now, I have been known to tell someone, I don't think I'm the right person for you.
Right.
Because for whatever reason, I don't feel like I've got what they need or what they're looking for. On occasion, I feel like personally, we just don't jive. And I tell people that finding a coach is like finding a doctor. You need to find someone that you can feel rapport with, that you feel confident, that you can trust, that the person that you're engaging as your coach has the kind of talent and ability to help you through a particular period in your time. And I really liked what Brenda said earlier. I'm sorry she popped off before I could say kudos to her, that I also encourage my clients to play in the field of possibilities. When they first come to me, they're fearful about what their next step would be. They want to make a change, but they don't have any vision or sense of what that next step might be. And so my initial encouragement to them is to dream big, to consider if they had a magic wand and they could be, do, or have anything in the world professionally, what would they want to go for? Forget about being practical in the beginning. You can worry about practicalities later, but to start with, what is it that you want, that your heart calls you to do, and how can you make the greatest impact on the world? And also to consider what kind of legacy you want to leave professionally. And if that's what you're putting out, it seems to me natural that you would attract that back. Having said that, we're all human. All of us at some point or another, no matter how successful we may have been or want to be, we've all had the moment of insecurity, not sure we're up to the task, imposter syndrome. I don't know a human being on the planet who hasn't experienced at least momentarily that. And then finally, I appreciated Anthony's comments. It took me back to my landmark forum days talking about stories, and he's exactly right. So thank you for that, Anthony.
Awesome. Thank you. That was the last round of questions from the audience and myself. And now for the next few minutes, we have about 5 minutes left. I see intrigue and mutual respect, admiration for everybody's thoughts from each other. So we'll start with Nick. Nick, you have a question for any of the coaches over here?
Yes, I do. I've got a question for Anthony.
Let's do it.
So something you said resonated with me. Quite often I will explain to a client, I give them the answer, your cash flow is wrong because you're doing this wrong. Why don't you do this instead? And after the third time, I usually decide they probably shouldn't be running a business and I don't want them as a client anymore. But what I took from you was that, no one's beyond help. Is that right?
For sure. Yeah, no one's beyond help. Key distinction, if they want help.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Because it's not your job to save them. If you try to save them as a consultant or a coach, you're operating in drama, and it's only a matter of time, because drama reaps drama. So it's only a matter of time before because they're coming in as the victim. Poor me, help me. Most times they don't have conscious awareness of this. It's definitely going on subconscious. But it's just going to end up in drama. You're going to be like in the fuck you stories, the villain energy, and it's just going to be messy. So if we can have an awareness of it, then we can just choose to rise above the drama archetypes and embrace creator archetypes and just be the caring respecter. You can care about them and respect their journey. So you can hold space for it, but if they're not willing to choose into it, then that's their journey.
Thanks.
Lovely. I love that. I learned a lot from that last 30 seconds. Thank you so much.
So my book coming out is called The Desire Factor, and you can go to thedesirefactor.com. And there's like $900 worth of bonus material in there when you buy a $15 book. And so it's coming out on April 21st. You can pre-order it right now.
Lovely.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.
Where can people find you? Your new book, website? What would you like us to sort of plug in over here?
Sorry, were you asking me?
We start. Yeah, I was anyone of you
Oh,
can go
right.
ahead.
Well, I've gone first every time. Someone else can go.
All right, Anthony, over to you.
Yeah, sure. People can go to AJAMYX, AMYX, so AJAMYX.com. There's a free ebook over there on the website called Mindset is Not Enough, where we dive into a lot of the concepts of what we talked about today. And then my book, Unstoppable Weekend, is going to drop on April 7th. But we're still building the landing pages and all of that. But we have some really, really cool plans coming up with the publishing company here in a couple of weeks to release that.
We're going to release this in about 2.5, 3 weeks. So if it's ready by then, please send it to us. We'll put it in the description.
Awesome. It will be then.
Excellent. Kayla?
All right. So I actually have 2 books coming out this year. You can go and find Healing from Grief, Embracing the Journey, which is an anthology, which will actually be a bonus to Transforming Inner Pain, which releases July 22nd. And you can actually go right to my website. It's under kaylabrisi.com/about-author, and I can grab that link for you. And all of the books are there. Transforming Inner Pain is available for pre-order right now, but essentially what these books are is all about overcoming adversity,
Sure.
how I've worked through them, a lot of the inner healing. There's strategy in there. It's a how-to personal development guide of sorts. And it has a lot of my stories and backstory in there of everything I've overcome throughout the years, from infertility and divorce and my 9-year journey to parenthood and you name it, mental health and all of that fun stuff. So
Thank you
I'd
so
be
much for
honored for
sharing.
you guys to check that out.
100%. Kitty?
I don't have any books for sale. I've got a couple of ebooks that are available for free on my website at Teachers in Transition. One of them is about stress, since I am an expert and coach on stress management strategies and stress relief for teachers, but the strategies are for anybody who feels stressed and overwhelmed. And I also have an ebook about the 10 things you need to know and do if you're ready for a career or job change. All of that and cheat sheets and all kinds of resources are
Lovely.
available on my website. And so my request would be, if you have a teacher friend or family member, and anybody that you know who is currently suffering from a sense of overwhelm and stress, either from teaching by itself or from teaching in a pandemic world, send them my way.
100%.
You'll see whether what I have to say resonates for them or not.
100%. Kathy, we were asking everyone to tell us about their book, their website, whatever you want, so that we can plug it in once we do the editing for the show.
Thank you. I just had a high blood pressure attack. I lost my internet. Here I am. And I missed all of it, so I'll have to watch the whole video again. What's the question? Where can you find me? KathyCaprino.com, my podcast, FindingBrave.org, my new book, The Most Powerful You, 7 Bravery Boosting Paths to Career Bliss. And my ask would be, if you know any women, mid to high level, who want more, different, and better, I hope you will send them my way, because I have so many resources, free, low cost, affordable, private coaching, all sorts of training. It's my deepest passion and joy to help women overcome those power gaps and thrive. Thank you, everybody.
Fantastic.
Thank you, Avi.
What's your podcast called again?
Finding Brave, because it's
Finding
all
Brave.
about that, isn't it? Every day. How do we be braver and more powerful and be who we
100%.
really are meant to be? Thank you.
Perfect.
I have a podcast too, just
Yeah.
FYI. I didn't think to mention that. I put it in the chat. Same.
Teachers in Transition. I just love that name. It just says it all. 3 words that just say it all. Nick, thank you for your patience.
Okay. No book at the moment, I'm afraid. I have a couple of websites. One is called businesscoachkit.com, although I'm starting to think it should be called businessconsultantkit.com, but never mind. And the other is called the scaleupformula.com, and that's going live, well, probably a couple of weeks, I should think. Again, consultancy focused, but it's been great. I really enjoyed listening to what you guys have had to say. It's been eye-opening. Thanks.
Once again, thank you very much. My name is Arya, father of 2 girls, 6 dogs, husband to a superwoman, a streetcar racer turned hotelier, now social media marketer and founder of Internet Moguls.